Hey everyone. For this week's art project, we're going to learn about taking our 2D shapes and turn them into 3D forms. This is a really good way for your artwork to look a lot more realistic. It's pretty easy. It just takes practice, but this is really the place to start. In the slides, I have examples of shapes and forms. You can see we're going to add a little bit of shadow or a light source to these. But for this first video today, I really just want to show you guys something that you can practice first and then start looking for objects around your home and build what we call a still life on a table. Just a collection of objects and try to draw those. But to get started, this is a really good way for you to start making your artwork look more realistic for the upper grades especially. So what I'm going to do is turn this camera to show my hands. Okay, and I have a couple forms here. I have a sphere, or what we know as a ball, and just looking at that on my paper, you'll see a pretty good shadow coming off of that right around here. So you can get shadows off of these. This is a bottle, so this would be called a cylinder. If I put that down on the paper, you can see a shadow that comes around that as well. So on page 4 of the slides, it has a great example, and I kind of made this little sheet, something you can try at home. I started out with 5 shapes, so let's look at those and their names. So first I have my circle, and I'm going to turn into a 3D form, which would be the sphere. Here I have my square, 2D, and 3D would be cube. Here I have my triangle, 1 and 2. One's going to be a pyramid, one's going to turn into a cone, and then finally down here with my oval, I'll end up with my cylinder, so kind of like a coffee cup. So these are really great ways to get started. Basically, what we're going to do is start with the circle and the square. The circle, I'll use a pencil. I'm going to use this kind of dark pencil here. And I'm going to create an kind of like a moon shape, what we call a crescent. So inside of the circle, I'm going to decide which way my light is coming from. So in the example on the slides, the light's coming in from this side. So if the light's coming in here, all of my shadows will be on the other side of your form. So for this first one, the circle, the sphere, I'm going to start with where my light source is coming from. So I'm going to say my light source is coming from this side, right? So this side, the back side of my circle, is going to be shaded in a little bit darker. Okay, and I'll leave a little bit of light near the bottom. So I want it to appear though the light is coming from this side. Now to add my shadow, again, I'm just using a marker so the camera picks up. I'm going to add a arch or a curved line and then fill that in the darkest. So even if you get successful with this today, this is a really good thing. And if you have a ball, any kind of ball in your house, like put it in front of a lamp and look at how it casts a shadow. Okay, when you do that, you're going to see that one side of the ball is the lightest, where the light source is coming from, and then the shadow will fall on the opposite side. So if I put it down, stay. Then you get your lightest source from where the light's coming from, and then the shadow comes on the other side. So it's a good thing to practice. For the cube today, what I do is I start with a square, and from 3 corners, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And I make all 3 of those diagonal lines so they kind of come out to the corner of my paper. And then I just connect them. So 1 and 2. And I drew a cube where it has the front, the top, and the side. Okay? And for this, the light source is coming from this side. So I'm going to make the side that doesn't see the light the absolute darkest. So I press down on my pencil. So this is about pressure on your pencil, making that the darkest because it does not see the light. This side sees the light the most, and then I'll make it a little bit darker just by pressing softer on the top. Okay, and I'm going to try to get a shadow here. So I'm just going to take If the light's coming from here, take my line out, over, and down, and that creates my shadow. So I'm looking at doing on the opposite side of where the light's coming from. Alright, and that's my cast shadow. So try that today. That's a great idea. For the pyramid, we're going to add one more diagonal line. I don't go as low as the first in the triangle. And then I connect those two sides. So I drew one more diagonal next to it, connected to the bottom, and you get the 3D effect. And that side's going to be the darkest because it doesn't see as much light. Okay, I'm going to just have a small triangle come off and fill that in as well with my shadow, my cast shadow. There we go. All right, my next one is the cone. So for the cone, I'm not going to do much. I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to shade the darkest on one side and then press softer and softer until you almost can't see it on the other side. So again, a lot about just practice pressing down with your pencil and pressing the hardest, and then I go a little bit softer as I get towards the edges where the light's coming from. So I'm making sure all of these have the light coming from the same side. All right, that's what that little arrow is for. Okay, my last one I want you to practice is take two lines off of your oval, make them go down, 1, 2, and then connect with a curved line. Okay, so again, there's my oval, 2 lines down the side, connect on the bottom. And now to add the shading, it's pretty much the same thing as my cone, the last one I did. I'm going to make this side my darkest. And I'm just going to press lighter and lighter till you can hardly see it on the other side. Okay, and as that light is shining, it's lightest on this side and it gets darker on the back. Okay, and then to add a little shadow, I'm going to have my line come out, curve, and back to that corner, and that gets filled in. All right. So this is a really good exercise for you to practice before we put objects together to try to make a still life. Just a really good way for you to practice turning your shapes into forms using shadows and shading with the pencil. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. Again, just get a piece of paper, start with a circle, a square, triangle, and oval, and then work from there. There's lots of videos on YouTube. If you're interested more in this, go on YouTube and search adding shading to an apple drawing, something like that. And an apple is an easy cylinder that you can find. I'm sorry, easy sphere that you can find around the house. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope it helped. Talk to you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.